So, first things first, Brittany, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm alright, thank you. So, I'd like to go back to the beginning a little bit, because I read somewhere, I think it was the bio, where you said, there's no time off, I need to create. Do you remember what first instilled in you a need to create?
Well, when I was born, my family didn't have a lot of money. So one thing that my sister, for one, taught me was how to have fun without any money at all. So we used our imaginations and we would create. So to me, it's at my very base nature to make things all the time.
What was the first thing that you made early on that you could look at and think, wow, that's actually, I'm proud of what I just made?
Legos. Yeah, I made a lot of impressive Lego machines.
Okay. And, well, you mentioned your sister, and is she the one who kind of introduced you to the musical side of creativity?
Yeah. She pretty much introduced me to everything: drawing, poetry, music, anything pertaining to imagination. She taught me everything. Yeah.
And what role did your grandparents' piano play in all of this?
Yeah, me and my sister would write songs on it from a really early age. So there's this big blue chair that would kind of go round and around, and I would sit in that chair and my sister would play like Beethoven and things like that, and I really enjoyed it. And we'd just stay there doing that for like a couple hours.
Good.
Yeah, it was really nice.
And so, was it at this time that that idea of being a musician was born for you?
I think it wasn't until I was like 11 years old when I saw a band play for the first time. That's when I knew I wanted to be in a band, and I was hungry for it. I was dead set on it.
How come?
It was like they had superpowers, because I went to school with these guys and they're really quiet, never said anything, and then I see them on stage, and they were playing songs and they're making all these people dance and do whatever they said, and I was just like, that is amazing. I want to do that too, and that's when it stuck with me. Like, I must do that.
What is it like, and looking back now at that time and kind of having achieved in a sense that being able to move people with your music?
I think it must be a divine thing because just of how dead set I was on being in a band, how dead set I was on making an album, how hungry I was to go on tour, to be a good performer, just that drive.
Well, that's an interesting word. I always find drive interesting, and especially because, well, it's covered on the album as well, but you haven't had the easiest of lives. So what was that drive? What kept you focused?
That's what I'm saying. It was just this hunger. I don't know why I must do it, but I must.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to kind of put into words.
Yeah, I can't put it into words. I mean, the way I figure is like it was definitely my outlet, being creative and making music. I got to have instant gratification with no bad side effects. You know, it was just creating and making my own world and making my own landscapes with songs and my own stories with songs. And then that being so enjoyable, there wasn't much else I wanted to turn to, you know.
So it was very cathartic in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then, well, you do very well. Alabama Shakes is doing very well. You have some side projects. What made you decide, well, I need to separate myself from all of that for a little bit and focus on me?
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with just being really emotionally drained.
How come? Through all the kind of exhaustion through touring?
Yeah, it was really exhausting, and also there wasn't a lot of time to focus on me or what I wanted. It was always about new music, performances, tour. It was just getting a bit tiring. And then when it came time for us to write songs together, the creativity wasn't there anymore. And that was really troubling because, of course, the first thing was like, why? What am I doing wrong? But then I think it was just that everyone was getting really comfortable with their life, and You know, the guys have families and they wanted to be fathers, which I completely respect. And then in turn, when we had the conversation about, oh, I don't think I can do this anymore, they understood. I can understand them. And it was bittersweet, but they also understood me too. And we ended things really graciously and benevolently and with kindness and respect. And I mean, we're family, so.
And some of them are still on the record, so it's all good.
It really is all good, yeah.
But this being such an important project for you, having made it now and it's finished, it's coming out soon, what is that feeling? Well, how do you process kind of what you've been through, let's say, the last year and a half?
I feel like I've just been waiting for a year for the record to come out.
Oh, so it was done for a while?
Yes,
oh.
Since last September.
Okay.
So, literally, when the record comes out, I think the record would have literally been a year old when it comes out, which...
Was that difficult?
Yes. I want this record to come out so bad. I've been counting down days for, I have 15 days left till the record comes out. I'm counting the days. I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
Do you have any expectations?
Only thing I expect to happen is for this record to come out. And that's, you have to understand, it's like there's so much propulsion behind it, and I work so hard just for it to enter the world. I have this expectation that when it enters the world, I can maybe take a nap or something.
You can settle down a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
But with that in mind then, because like you said, there's so much propulsion behind it, is it anxious then as well? Having this new body of work?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
In terms of well, you say focusing on me, what was the most difficult hurdle kind of to get through to get this album done?
I think the most difficult hurdle was just in the beginning when I had decided, okay, I'm going to do it, I'm going to make this record. I put a lot of pressure on myself for it to be, I was like, it needs to be this or it needs to be that. And then when I did that, I really didn't leave a lot of room for creativity to come in. So I had the worst case of writer's block, which is why I drove out to California to write, because I thought, well, maybe if I leave my environment now, when I'm out there, I'll find some inspiration. But that's not what it was. It literally was me closing myself off because I was thinking too hard. And the less you think, the more you're open to receive creativity. That's a big lesson I learned from doing this record. And eventually it came through, but literally the only reason it did was because I took a day off. Isn't that weird?
What happened on that day?
It was too hot to work. And then I ended up working anyway.
And then the inspiration comes and you kind of have to work.
And I was like sweating because I was working in a greenhouse. I was just sweating. But it worked out.
What song was that?
Stay High.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. And then, well, let's just take that song then. What was that nugget of inspiration that hit you at that point?
I literally just walked around the house with a guitar, the main house, and I made these I had these two guitar riffs that didn't go together, but they kind of did go together. And then I was writing supplementary music around those two guitar riffs. And then I took out those two guitar riffs, and then that was Stay High. It's really funny how it showed up. And it just happened all at once. You know, it's really hard to explain. I just started singing and all the words started coming out.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I hear that more often, that the best songs are kind of those happy accidents where just something clicks all of a sudden.
It just happens, yeah.
And because I think you said about this record as well, you've been more honest than you've ever been. Were there any hesitations, especially early on?
No, there wasn't any hesitation to do that. I'd say the only song that I had hesitation about was a song called Goathead, because it was telling a story about my parents, and I had some hesitation around how they were going to feel about it. But then they've finally heard it, and my dad loves it, so just strange to say, but he loves it.
Well, that's an interesting thing, but because when you write songs, you write sometimes about real people. So
right.
Is that always in the back of your mind, like they probably will hear this song?
Yeah, because of the way I grew up, really, I think about other people usually before I think about myself, which sounds like a good thing, but it's actually not, because then I don't spend a lot of time thinking about myself. I'm always kind of like trying to be good, you know?
So doing the right thing.
Do the right thing, yeah, and that's not always good for you, you know?
Yeah, you have to think about yourself at some point as well.
Yeah.
But so then going back to the beginning, and this is the final question then, but what made you realize this? What was the kind of turning point where you think, because you said you were putting the band before yourself, and then what was the thing that made you go, well, no, I do matter and I have to focus on myself a bit?
I think getting so exhausted and being so like rock bottom, tired, and especially at that moment in time, being creative outside of the band and feeling more fulfilled outside of that was because I was with a group called Bermuda Triangle.
Sure.
And being fulfilled there and being able to breathe in that space, but not being able to breathe in this space, and just having to take a good hard look at why, and get real and be honest about what I needed to be happy.
So do you feel a sense of liberation then, now that kind of the album is done for a while, but now that everything is kind of in motion?
I feel like I'll be liberated when the record comes out.
Fair enough. Brittany, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.